the doctor's offices, we have positive intention or try to make the best out of the worst, and we're left with little to no information. So that's already kind of points against us. I just keep reliving the way things happen for me, and everybody I talk to is kind of similar situation. So we're looking to our doctors for the right information, and we're not getting the right information provided. So how do we bounce back from that? We can go in there feeling so good and leaving feeling so defeated. And I just think, I hate to say mind fuck, but excuse my language, but we could easily become our own worst enemies.
Hey guys, me, Dr. G. We're gonna do something new. You know what I got? One of my best Walls warrior, one of my best friends, Tony Farro. Finally got his name right, I hope. And there he is right there. But you know what? We just want to talk what we're always talking about. Him and I are always talking about resiliency. We could sim in our soup, we could cry and whine, but how do we be resilient? How do we be a master of our own? Tony could talk about it even more, but how do we grasp this concept of self-love? How do we get this resiliency? Because, we're all fighting a pretty rough battle. How you doing today, Tony?
Good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great, actually.
You're looking good.
I got glasses on. I don't like those, but whatever. It's probably getting old, I guess.
The sophisticated look.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Sophisticated. Yeah, I don't feel that sophisticated. So how you been? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I can't complain.
So everybody knows Tony Farro. He's runs a wonderful nonprofit, Change MS. Does amazing things. He's in the process of a bunch of different projects I don't want to talk about that he's informed is really, really exciting. He's a Walls Protocol coach. If you don't know, I'm sure you've seen him on the Walls Protocol site, and he's just a wealth of information. And it's a warrior like us all. He's just going to town every day and bringing it. So
trying we could do our best. Trying our best.
So what? Let's just start from the scratch.
Yeah.
You got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis many years ago, relapsing remitting. You've been through it all. You've been out of the doctor's office with the pamphlets. You want this drug, you want that drug. You approach different diets, you end up following the walls. Everybody kind of knows you're pretty comfortable with that. You're doing pretty well. Can you kind of just bring us up to date?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, we never stop learning. So and I find our conversations really interesting because we keep digging deeper, going down different avenues, because it is about what's going on up here. When we're first diagnosed, we go into the doctor's offices, we have positive intention or try to make the best out of the worst, and we're left with little to no information. So that's already kind of points against us. I just keep reliving the way things happen for me, and everybody I talk to is kind of similar situation. So we're looking to our doctors for the right information, and we're not getting the right information provided. So how do we bounce back from that? We can go in there feeling so good and leaving feeling so defeated. And I just think, I hate to say mind fuck, but excuse my language, but we could easily become our own worst enemies. And I think that's half the battle, is kind of figuring out how not to, and keep digging and digging and digging and digging. The more you learn, the more you can apply. But it's not overnight. It's always a step-by-step process.
So where do you start?
Exactly. So for me, I left feeling a little bit defeated, and I did go home and read. I was sent home with 3 binders full of information to pick a medicine, not 3 binders full about inflammation or MS or just specifically about a drug. Um, and I was an athlete in high school, so studying wasn't my strong point. But I did go home and I did take it very seriously what the doctors were telling me. I read the pamphlets, read the binders. I actually went on the drug company's websites looking for more information, and the side effects freaked me out a little bit more than what I was going through. So for me, I just feel, and then as I was going through all that, I would have multiple flares. So you'd think me getting worse would make me start to listen a little bit more to my doctors, but I did not. I was pretty stubborn, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to learn. And still to this day, I'm going on 10 years since dealing with MS. My symptoms started in '09. I wasn't officially diagnosed till 2011, but then I got a second confirmation in 2012. So I always say I was officially diagnosed in 2012, but it was actually 2011. And just since then, it's just really been a very educational journey. I've learned a lot from you. Um, and I tell you this all the time.
We
You're the
learn a lot from
reason.
each other.
You're but you're the reason that I got all. That was easier for me to roll out of bed. When I was first diagnosed, extreme depression, fatigue, brain fog, and I caught a glimpse of one of your videos, and I'm like, what the hell? This guy could do it. What's my problem? But then you start learning a little bit more about yourself. So then, that's the scary part too. So how deep are you willing to go in on this journey? Because then you start learning, about consciousness and being mindful, but then the subconscious. So how do we make habit changes that are long lasting and long term? Then we learn about the difference between confidence and self esteem. It's two different things. I consider myself being very confident, but I lack self esteem. My self esteem is very poor. So my self talk sucks, and it always has. I've been beat down emotionally a lot my whole life. So that's another layer of the onion that you got to peel back. So there's just a lot, not just food, but how to get the right mindset to make these changes to live your best life. But for me to lose a lot of function and was able to get most of it back, that's what keeps me on the good path. And to keep learning, keep sharing, keep having these conversations. Me and you going back and forth, I always take something out of it and apply it and, go from there. But I think digging deep, and then you realize that, what is our attachment to food? Is it suppressed emotions and feelings? And why are we so comfortable in the old lifestyle? And why are we so uncomfortable adapting to a new lifestyle if we know that's going to make us feel our best? So PTSD, um, a lot, reverting back to those old feelings and emotions if you're afraid to face it. And this is all things that we're self-taught. Like I have yet to see somebody, but I would like to make sure I'm processing things correctly, letting go of old baggage, and really focusing on the future. But there's so many freaking questions. Like there's so many different avenues and roads, and like you said, where to start. So I think focusing on those few things and learning. I mean, it sounds like I just blurted out a lot, but it is a lot. But slowly but surely, we really have to identify why we're so hesitant to to make these changes, especially now that the evidence, it can't be denied anymore. Lifestyle factors do matter. And every specialist in the world will tell you MS is an inflammatory condition. What are we doing to combat that?
Very good, very good. Now you have to also share with us something. When you started this whole journey, you weren't the same Tony you are now.
No.
Tell people. I mean,
I
tell people
was
what
I
you've
was
done.
500 pounds when I was first diagnosed.
500 pounds.
500. I was a big boy.
500.
Yeah,
Yeah.
500.
All right, just checking.
Uh, I was in the pizza business. I was in the bar business. Late hours, long work days, horrible eating habits. I was addicted to you name it, and I call food a serious addiction. I do think that we need to really identify that it is an addiction. Hey, chubby Tony.
Yeah, I was looking for some pictures on short notice
Yeah,
because I think what you've done is so inspiring, so profound, in the face of multiple sclerosis, where a lot of people are going to say, you know what, I'm not fighting. I'm just going to give in to whatever this is.
yeah. I mean, I would flare twice a year in the beginning, and then, as you know, each flare took a long time to kind of recover from. You don't bounce back that easily. The more attention I gave to myself, the better I felt physically. So I just wanted to stay on that path. Me being a football player, in high school, prep school, I always had the gym mentality, always had, the positive mindset. But like I said, I lacked in self-esteem, and that's still something that I work on every day. Being positive on the outside is one thing, but really having a good self-talk and being positive internally is a totally different thing. And that's kind of what, you know, I've identified, and I want to work on that more and more and more, so I don't have, down days or as many down days. I do expect down days to come. I don't expect things to be perfect, but like you said in the past, just being mindful and recognizing that as soon as, maybe you have a bad self-talk, you pump the brakes, you stop it like right away, and you carry on the good path.
True. I'm just looking for a couple of videos because your work at the gym, what you do at the gym, I mean, explain a little bit about that. It's not just about losing weight, is it? What
No,
else is it?
no. I try to focus on, and I've learned a lot from you as well, because in the beginning, I was always trying to keep up with my old self, what I used to lift or what I used to, and so you got to kind of clean the slate. And I know we talked about ego before too, and letting go of being in constant competition with who you used to be, and be an open and embrace the new you, because it's going to be a better version of you in the end. Doesn't matter how much you could lift, but so I would do lighter weights, higher reps, focus on really focus on form, mobility, muscle interaction, stretching, things that I know that I might lose. It's still being on my 10-year mark. It's still in the back of my head. That 80% of the people that are diagnosed with relapse remitting progress. So that's a huge number. Um,
Yes.
so I want to do everything that I can to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can. So the gym, we've done, pushing sleds and pulling sleds and tire flips, and I'd like to get back to jogging. I haven't really jogged yet. I have been walking faster. Jumping rope, I used to be really good at. I haven't done that in over 10 years, so I would like to get back to that
So we're
slowly
talking
but
about
surely.
mindset and thing. You think the gym helps you with your overall confidence, your elevates your mood perhaps a little bit?
Yeah, I think it does, because even getting there could be a struggle. You're swearing at yourself.
Absolutely.
It's it. So I like to say, we're at a constant war with ourselves. So there's days that I won't want to go. I'll make sure I get there, and I'll make sure I put in the work. And then when it's done, you feel great. So You try to doubt yourself less, get there, get the work done, make it part of your routine. Oh wow, those are some good ones. Yeah, planking, not fat kid friendly, but uh,
You're
I'm
doing pretty good, Tony.
getting better at that. Getting better at that.
Those, if you haven't tried those are not easy.
No,
Not easy. I don't care what weight you are.
and I think I'm 30. I'm 30 pounds less than when I was doing those. So I'm still,
It's beautiful.
always a work in progress. I don't want to go backwards. I only want to move
So
forwards.
you made a statement a couple months ago that really stuck with me that there are no finish lines.
Yeah, I think that's what we all get so anxious to feel better that we're too focused on just that feel good moment. People will jump into the protocol for a week or a month. They'll feel really, really good and then fall. And I've done that multiple times. Like in the beginning, I was not as strict as I am. And there's still things that I need to tighten up on. I do still have a problem with like the amount of food that I eat. So even though it's compliant, I'll still go overboard. I can't put a container of berries in front of me and say only eat a quarter of it. It'll be gone. Um, but I recognize that. I try to break those patterns and habits. But I think the more you realize that there is no finish line and you really have to be patient and really understand the long-term goals. And I've told Dr. Walls that plenty of times that I do, and I learned that from her as well. I do respect her patience and the way she's able to just take it day by day, look at the end goal. Don't think the end goal is going to come tomorrow because you're going to defeat yourself if you have that mindset. So you just take it
It
day
goes
by
back to what
day.
you were saying before, right? It's not just food. It's not just exercise. What do we got a whole thing between our ears too, right?
Correct. And that's going to be a challenge in itself. I mean, for me to tweak everything overnight, it was, and I could see how it could be intimidating too. Because I was in the pizza business, so for me to kind of take a step away from that, that was difficult. Family legacy. That's all I grew up in.
Repeat that though. You're in the pizza business. You're
Pizza business.
around gluten. You're around
Yeah.
bread. You're around cheese. Food that tastes amazing.
Oh, some of the best food in the world.
And you're able. I mean, it's a miracle that you're able to. You turned everything around.
I had to leave though to really start incorporating things because me always having the fat kid mentality where I was good on a diet, so I deserve to cheat. With autoimmune, it's different because we could just the fire's almost out and we just
And you
douse it.
remember when you started thinking yourself as a fat kid?
Uh,
'Cause
I
that's
do.
really negative, right?
I always say that, and I've always kind of busted my own chops on it. I never really, even at 500 pounds, I never really saw an issue with that. But
Good.
then,
I mean, it's good in a way, right?
yeah,
We
but
need
in
to
a
beat ourselves
way,
up anymore.
maybe I was in denial, and then you start peeling back the layers of healing, and you realize, I didn't know I was emotionally attached to food. I didn't know I buried my feelings in food. So to me, if you really think about it, it wasn't a mystery of how I got to that size.
So you and I have talked about this that we should rather be the reactor of the emotion. We should be the observer of the emotion. So like, all right, there's that emotion again. Let's break it down. Let's just not react and be angry or be
Right.
tough on ourselves. What a lot of us do. We're shameful. We blame ourselves for these problems. These, when they're not. They're just
Right. But how do we develop that? And that's what I've been thinking about too. Why am I so reactive? Why am I so defensive? So what is the real problem? So there's always things that we could become aware of and really address it and try to work on that. Um, and I still say, I was addicted to food Food was a comfort for me, and it is for a lot of people. So, and then if that's all you know,
And designed that way by corporate America and everything else. I mean, this is not by mistake. These are yummy,
right?
tasty things that trigger pleasure centers in our brain. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, 100%.
it's
And
such
now I think it's funny that even the health market now is starting to get on the bandwagon, even though they're still promoting shitty products. They're using words like biome and things that, so we have to really focus on unlearning, like you've said in the
absolutely,
past,
yeah. Do you
and
learn?
relearn everything. And we have to be our own advocates because that information has not been come from the people that you think it would come from. Not yet, at least,
Unfortunately, not. I'm not.
because even my
No.
neurologists, now that the research is out there, it can't be denied. They want to refer patients to me. They want to work closely together with me because they don't have the time to put into these individuals to really educate them on cause and effect, on following an anti-inflammatory diet, understanding, free radicals, understanding what could trigger the immune response. Just, and to us now it's basic, but we had to start somewhere. It wasn't basic in the beginning. We didn't know. I didn't know shit about any of this stuff until.
Tony and I kind of were diagnosed at different times. We ran similar paths, and neither one of us claimed to know anything really. We're just kind of struggling along right with everybody else.
That's it.
And so, we've kind of tackled exercise, kind of tackled the diet, but then we're like, wait a second,
Mhm.
maybe there's something else we're missing. And we realize, well, wow, are we like you said? I'm gonna say it again. We mind fuck ourselves all the time.
Yeah. I
For
know.
what? For what? So everybody says, well, read this book, read that book. I read all the books, but I'm still mental case.
Yeah.
So, I don't think Tony and I claim to have any answers, but
Mm-mm.
we'd like to just to open it up for discussion so we could begin to
And
develop
try and
a little
apply. Try
process.
and apply. I never knew there was a difference between, you know, conscious and subconscious, or where our habits come from, where our self-talk comes from,
No,
or
never
and
thought
the
of it.
difference between confidence and self-esteem. Those two different things are super important to learn how to reprogram yourself to go down a different path. Um, and it does excite me to get up and to learn to apply these things because you feel better overall. Food, yes, it's pretty, it's lock and key. Like I will never divert away from that, but I still have to work on those few things
Yep.
and still, tweak things, still, eat out less. So I still consume conventional meat, which I shouldn't as much. I try to prep as much as I can.
You do what you can. And
And I
that's what
think,
everybody has to do, right? Depending on their
oh
budget
yeah.
and in the situations, people live alone. They live with children. I mean, there's so many different avenues. It's
And even the protocol itself has to be individualized. So people jump on it, get pissed off, or not be able to try it hard enough. Wall said 95% is not 100. That always stuck in my head. And another thing she told me was, the more you take care of yourself, the more you're able to help other people. That, and I still neglect myself. I'll put other people's needs before mine. Uh, I still want to take care of everybody else before I take care of myself.
well documented. Most patients with MS, like ourselves, or chronic disease, we do that. We give until the body says
Yeah.
no.
And we're very good at suppressing emotions and feelings. We're bottlers. We bottle everything up. And then boom, I know autoimmune, it's a perfect storm, but that has to be a major contributor to that storm. And I haven't met anybody with MS that is not like that, who's not like more empathic, more of a
Right.
more of a people pleaser,
Well,
easily to be taken advantage of.
oh, agreed.
It's,
100%.
and I think that's where our self-esteem could be tarnished because everything that we're going up against is years, not just an individual, but you run into the same type of people over and over and over and over. So what's the real lesson here is to really try to identify who to surround yourself with, and try to make it as positive as possible, because we're still dragging that dead luggage with us. And we don't, like you said, we don't have to. Like, what the hell? Why do we torture ourselves?
So, everyone we have is inside, but we don't. We're not.
Yeah.
We don't embrace that. Even myself. I mean, I'm not can say I'm.
I really been looking like Dr. Joe Dispenza, a lot of his books and YouTube videos, and Bruce Lipton. And my girlfriend turned me on to both of those gentlemen, and they're so intriguing, and so it's such a perfect fit for everything else that we go through. Because if you can't just jump into the protocol and quit everything cold turkey, and you want to really learn about yourself more, those are two really good people to follow to really get a grasp on what's going on up here and how to fix that. That needs to be addressed as well.
I know you got to get to the office. So let's sum it up quick, because I'd like to do more of this. I think that if we can even get more people involved, and we can get to investigate these things, not that we're going to be sociologists or
Right.
psychologists or psychiatrists, but we're just muddling through like everybody else, right?
Yep.
So what advice would you give? I mean, you've just been diagnosed. You just come out of that office. You're just in shock. What's your advice?
I'd say be your own advocate. Listen to what they have to say. And most of them now are starting to get on board with more promoting of nutrition, more promoting of things to stay away from. And like the protocol, it's not just about what to avoid, about what to add. I think a lot of people neglect that too. It's not just about what to give up. We have to get in the right amount of nutrients. We have to get in the right amount of water. We have to get in the right amount of gratitude and gratefulness. So it's everything. But don't be afraid to reach out to people like us either that've been through it. Do not hesitate to look at positive support groups. There's a lot of support groups out there that are just miserable, and it hurts. It really hurts my heart that people give so much to so much. It kills me that a lot of people don't. I don't know if it's them not giving how the hell do I even say this? I think some people don't try because they're not given the right information. And I did a video with Amy not too long ago, and I kind of felt bad for saying it after the fact, but I said you should lose your ability to complain if you're not doing everything in your power to feel the best that you can. And I still feel a little bit guilty about that, but at the same time, it does make sense.
I never really respected Joe Rogan, but I listened to a podcast he had yesterday, and I don't know how long ago he did, probably a long time ago, but he was talking about mouth pleasure, and that we've decided that, like, for example, I used to smoke. I won't allow cigarettes in my mouth anymore. So, it's very easy for us to say, well, we're weak, we're in a slip, but we really kind of allow things. So I think you're on point. We have to take ownership, but in the same regard, we can't beat ourselves up, because that's what we do. We're really good at beating ourselves up.
Right.
So, right, it has to be a balance.
Got to find a balance. But if you're newly diagnosed, or even if you had MS for a long period of time, don't stop educating yourself. There's always something that you could learn, and always something that you can apply. If you can't attack the food thing right away, do it in baby steps.
Yeah.
Just make small, significant changes that could potentially last a long, long time. Your overall goal should be feeling the best that you can feel.
Because you even said that we don't use the word diet, we use lifestyle change.
Lifestyle. I like to say, nutrition, even exercise, movement. And I don't give a shit what you do. Walk,
Right.
stretch. You don't have to go to the gym. You can do it, do what you can where you can. And I started doing the hell's Wim Hof meditations in the morning.
Okay.
That's been super beneficial. Cold showers is new to me. That's been really beneficial. I got turned on to Dr. Jack Cruz from you. He's been really beneficial. That's a whole different realm. But there's so much information out there. I think Google you should stay away from, because there's who knows who writes what and this and that and the other thing.
I
Even
just got
PubMed.
no run out of time, but I was talking to my psychiatrist yesterday. He's a friend now. But he says we go on Google and we have this confirmational bias. We're finding the material that agrees that what we think, and we're like, oh yeah, we're going to do that.
Right.
But we're ignoring the other things that maybe that don't agree. And so he says you have to be very careful. You get on there and you could find out what this latest and greatest supplement, and you're all in, but it's
Right.
all BS.
And I think you've learned a lot, and I learned a lot from you from over supplementation. You're not, and even Walls said in her latest video about, wellness and health is not going to come from a prescription or a pill. We really have to understand basic. It's not basic, but physiology is very complex. We are sophisticated machines, and we need to be fueled to run properly. And I think in the future, hopefully, health coaches and nutritional coaches and all those things will be more widely accepted, because the patients need it. Disease rates are at an all-time high. Doctors' offices are overloaded, and people constantly, you know, and I'm not, like you said, we're not claiming to know it all, but what we've learned and what we applied, I know where I would be if I didn't try. I think you know where you would be if you did not try.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know.
scary. That's scary enough to admit right there.
It's very scary. I don't know if all this is going to work. I don't know if the diet's going to work. I don't know if the exercise work. I don't know if the mindfulness work. But what I do know is if I didn't follow any of this, I'd be in bad shape, because I know now when I slip or what happens, I know how I feel.
Right.
So then I got to go on that.
And that's another hard reality for us to face, So it's like, even though we're in constant battle for improving ourselves, we want to make sure we're covering all the bases. But at the same time, we don't want to make sure we're overextend ourselves to better, to make that happen. So even setting boundaries, even with patients or people that have questions, there's a lot, because there's a lot of people that are newly diagnosed that have a million questions, that want to talk to somebody that's been through it. That could be extremely taxing and draining on us.
Absolutely.
So it's like, we have to be mindful of that too. And then you get 100 of those a day. It's like, holy shit, where to start, where to begin,
There's a lot of pain out there, and we can't take it all on our shoulders.
I know. And I still have a bad habit of trying to suppress a lot of other people's pain. And it doesn't matter what I put myself through to do that.
There.
Yeah. Stupid heart.
It's tough to do. But I think most MS people have just huge hearts. They're type A personalities. They're givers. And this is what we have. But you know what, Tony? I just appreciate. I know you got to get to the office, but I think we should just do this more often. Maybe invite some people on, and let's just really keep the. I mean, it's a big. There's no finish lines, like you said.
Right.
So it's a big journey.
Everybody's got a different definition of resilience. Everybody's going to pull a different lesson out of that. So, what your definition of healing is could be different than mine. Yeah, we might not be running marathons, but we're not where we could be potentially. And that I think we need to value more than where we think we want to be.
Amen to that. Very, very well said. All right. Well, you have a great day. And oh, I didn't cut you off. Maybe I did, but if I did, he's got to get back to work anyways. And I'm going to let him go, but we're really going to try to. I might have cut him off. I'm just learning this myself. But we're going to try to do this more often. I'm going to try to. I'd like to get more of us, because we're all a tribe. We're all in this big club, whether we like it or not. So let's support one another. So I'm very, very, very excited that Tony came on. Tony is, somebody I confide in. He's just a good whipping post. We throw things back and forth all the time, amongst other friends like Kana and Beth Schultz and Dr. oh, just so many folks like David and that we're just such this big community. So it's just really, I think we could just, I don't know, I have this feeling we could thrive and we could really make some changes and benefit each other by supporting each other. I just can't get that through. And it's even I've never sought therapy, but I'm doing it. I'm trying it. So I'm going to share with you all that stuff. Got some videos I want to share with you too. So be well, everybody. I know we tend to run over, so yeah, it's like 50 minutes. So I'm gonna publish this, and then let's just keep working together. Let's keep going.
We can make the changes that need to be made. There may not be a cure, but it doesn't mean you can't change how you feel. It starts with you. We live in Buffalo, New York.
We live regular, everyday lives.
And like everyone, life goes by fast.
We work, go to school, raise families,
We are brothers,
sisters,
Sons,
And daughters.
no cares in the world.
other than the regular, everyday stresses of life.
we all have one thing in common.
One day, our lives were changed forever. I did not know what multiple sclerosis was when I was diagnosed.
As far as MS before I was diagnosed, I knew very little about it.
No, I didn't really know much about it.
I did not know what multiple sclerosis was.
No, never heard of it.
I did know what multiple sclerosis was.
Complex, dynamic, and destructive attacks by autoaggressive immune cells on the central nervous system cause devastating symptoms and a measurable and sustained effect on the patient's disability. Oligodendrocytes myelinate axons in the central nervous system, ensuring that neural impulses are efficiently and quickly transmitted. An MS exacerbation is instigated when a circulating T cell becomes misprogrammed to target and attack myelin. The T cell releases cytokines to recruit similar T cells, B cells, and macrophages to mount the attack. These inflammatory cells are able to cross the blood-brain barrier, which normally separates immune cells in the periphery from the central nervous system. Once inside, the autoaggressive T cells release more cytokines to activate B cells, macrophages, and microglia, propagating a cycle of inflammation. The B cells produce antibodies. The macrophages and microglia release cytotoxins. Together, these destructive elements attack the myelin sheaths, axons, and oligodendrocytes, leading to cell disintegration.
My symptoms started in 2009. I got my right hand, it started with my right hand. It went totally numb, and I got tingly all throughout my body.
We were on a family vacation in Florida, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't sit up straight and why my vision wasn't right, and it was probably from the heat.
My first symptom was actually numbness on one side of my body and double vision.
I remember vividly one day waking up and not being able to get dressed. But I was adamant about going to work, and my mother helped me get dressed, and I barely shuffled into work that day.
I would get like numbness in my left hand, tingling, but I'm a hairdresser, so I always thought maybe it's carpal tunnel.
2005, 2006, I would get dizzy, lose strength in my legs, balance issues.
I lost my eyesight for a good month. Thought it was just an eye infection. It got worse in September, and then I was put on IV steroids, and then it got better.
These damaged areas of myelin, visualized as active lesions on an MRI, disrupt the transmission of nerve impulses. Patients can suffer symptoms such as impaired vision, sensory disturbances, and problems with gait and balance that last from days to months. These symptoms interfere with their mobility, safety, and overall quality of life.
My biggest struggle with MS, probably the emotional aspects of it. I think a lot of it goes unnoticed. A lot of depression, fatigue.
My biggest struggle was breaking my mother's heart because she ultimately takes care of me and my daughter, and not being able to do the things that I want to do with my daughter, it's very hard.
You really got to change everything you thought you knew to be okay. So it's I'm still learning that discipline. So that, to me, was kind of a struggle. To just one day hit that wall that you are forced to face this thing. There's no half-assing it.
Learning what being in denial is, to facing this disease head-on, to experiencing more emotion than I've ever known one to experience. 5 years ago, I stopped working due to how sick I was.
You know, my husband, he takes a lot, It's hard because you try, oh jeez. You try so hard to be strong on a daily basis so that they don't feel like they have to be strong for you. And, so you go through life with your struggles and your demons inside, trying to be like so courageous. And you know what? God in my eyes is my savior. He gives me the strength to walk through a daily life.
My family falling apart, losing my husband, friends turning their backs. And I have learned that we only have one thing in life, and that's our health. And it doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account or what type of job you have. If you don't have your health, you have nothing.
And on a daily basis, anybody, doesn't matter if you have MS or not, you only get 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. So I use my days in full-fledged, like the best I can, with all I can, and put my best foot forward on an everyday basis.
Fortunately, MS exacerbations can be treated with approved therapeutics that target excessive immune responses and inflammation, leading to improved symptoms, reduced short-term disability, and accelerated functional recovery.
When you are diagnosed, you do feel abandoned, you do feel alone. Nobody should be told something that serious and be sent off to fend for yourself. Change MS was formed with those feelings in mind. At Change MS, we want people to feel better, physically, mentally, and emotionally. We want to make everyone's experience with MS a better, more uplifting, positive experience. At the time of diagnosis, it's crucial to have a plan of attack in place and a support system to guide you through and not be left alone to fend for yourself. We will be working with other organizations and area specialists to set people up on a proper path and promote being proactive towards your symptoms for optimal health. Change MS, along with the Buffalo Wellness Center, will be involved in program development with local educators, trainers, and dietitians who have experience working with patients with MS to better understand the body and the benefits of diet and exercise, to help learn about inflammation and things to avoid, to learn how to get the body back on track to work for itself and not against it.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Joy Lesniak. I am the Executive Director of the Buffalo Wellness Center. And what we do is we push into the communities and help them live healthier. What we're doing right now is we're doing a series of classes and workshops with Change MS to help MS really learn about the healthy benefits of their body, mind, and spirit. So within these classes, we're not just talking about food. We are talking about learning about meditation. We're learning about Reiki. We're learning about sound therapy. We're learning how food is powerful. And we hope that they leave here living their life healthier and walking away with the tools that they will have in their backpack to refer to later on in life.
I was newly diagnosed with MS. During that time, I was scared. I felt very alone. And I was introduced to Tony through the Buffalo Wellness Center, and he was telling me about his new program he was starting with Change MS. Since then, I've made a lot of friends, a lot of connections, and chose a healthier living.
My outlook about MS has changed in a great way. I feel that I'm truly blessed to be where I am today.
It's definitely given me a different perspective on gratitude and just like living more fully.
MS was my wake-up call, and it was actually a win-win for me. It allowed me to change for the better.
To be aggressive, because this disease has a course of its own, whether it's in Tony, Van, or whoever it is, and our main focus should be to maintain being as healthy as possible and to slow down the progression.
I've changed my whole way of thinking about what I eat, what I put in my body, and how your body can heal itself.
I will say I know many people now that have multiple sclerosis, and it isn't for the weak. And I have been able to really hone in on my health and make it a priority, where in the first 10 years of this diagnosis, I did not make it my priority.
It definitely lit a fire under me. I like to think of being diagnosed and my whole experience with that as a turning point. I think since then I've changed a lot about my life and my lifestyle and progressed from there. I like to say that today I am better off than where I was when I was diagnosed.
That I don't have to live with this just coping and looking at it as a death sentence. It's a wake-up call to live. It's your opportunity to listen to your body and just take charge and say, I'm not gonna have a pity party for myself because of this disease. I'm going to open every door possible, and I'm gonna walk through it with open arms, embracing everything that comes at me.
We will also be teamed up with local neurologists and MS specialists to implement mentoring programs and positive-driven support group. Individually, we all have had similar stories and had some of the same ideas, but not much could be done on our own.
I am a face of MS.
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 Collectively, we can make the changes that need to be made. There may not be a cure, but it doesn't mean you can't change how you feel. It starts with you.